Welcome back, everybody. This is the next chapter of Let's Play Discworld Noir, Chapter 2 we're in. Thanks for coming back. If you'll remember last time, we found out a little bit about Sapphire in the Saturnalia casino. We found out that the claims that she won big were probably spurious, and we got a little suspicious. We also heard a little bit about Carlotta's alibi, and we have a new lead to follow up, looking for Regan, who is the Count's accomplice, sort of his companion. It's not really clear in what way. Maybe they were co-conspirators. They were at least friends. So that won out for our next lead to pursue. Unfortunately, I'm a big old dummy and forgot that we do need to confront Sapphire before we can do much of anything else. So
I've got some more questions for you, Sapphire.
Sapphire busy. Leave her alone.
now, because we found out about her secret meeting and about her run of bad luck from Mencken and the casino respectively, we can...
I hear you had a mysterious meeting not too long ago. Not long after, you turn up with a lot of money. Sounds like an awfully big coincidence to me.
Stop harassing Sapphire. Already told Luton. Won the money at Saturnalia.
Right.
She's sticking to her story pretty strongly, even though we pretty much know it's false.
I know about your problems.
Problems?
The debts. The huge losses. You're struggling just to keep your head above water. I bet you've had to make all kinds of nasty compromises just to keep yourself going.
What you talking about? Who been saying such things about me?
Does it matter?
It mattered to Sapphire.
All right. I heard it from Whirl, and he should know.
Huh, Whirl. He don't know everything goes on at Saturnalia.
It's hard to say if she's saying that she knows more than she's letting on, or if that's just a weak defense. Either way, we now have a new dialogue option.
So, you won a lot of money at the casino.
Yes, already told ya. Big win.
You won big at the casino, but no one at the casino seems to remember you winning.
They lie. Sapphire won
She's
big.
backed into a corner.
And this mysterious meeting as well. You say that had nothing to do with the money.
Forget about meeting. Meeting not important.
Not important, eh? I think it is. I say you met with someone and they gave you the money. Someone who had something to hide. Someone who'd pay good money to keep it quiet. Who was it, Sapphire?
No one.
It wasn't no one who paid you, Sapphire. It was someone who was interested in me, wasn't it? Someone who didn't want me digging around after Therma. Why? What's so important that someone would pay you to cover up for them? Who is it?
No one.
You'd better tell me, because I'm going to find out one way or another. And if you don't tell me, when I find out who it is, I'll tell them you told me where to find them.
No, she'll kill me.
Who? Who'd kill you?
Therma. It was Therma.
Oh.
I've been blackmailing Therma. She not want to be found.
Therma is still alive?
Yeah?
Good. Arrange a meeting with her for me.
What?
You heard me. Face it, Sapphire, your little scam is broken. If you want me to keep quiet about your little windfall, you're going to have to fix a meeting with Therma for me.
Therma won't do it.
Well, you'd better make her do it, because otherwise I'm going to go straight to the Guild of Thieves, Burglars, and Allied Trades to tell them about you. They don't take kindly to unlicensed blackmail.
You do that to me?
Look into my eyes and tell me if I'm bluffing.
All right. Give me some time. I'll leave message at your office when it arranged.
I look forward to it. It's a pleasure doing business with you, Sapphire.
You're a cold one, Luton.
Not as cold as you, I reckon. I decided to leave Sapphire alone after that. I'd got what I wanted.
So, Luton turns the screws yet again, and we turn up with something very interesting. I guess Therma's alive and is an active player in some kind of scene. She was trying to... Sapphire was blackmailing her, trying to... because she didn't want us finding out about her. So who knows what she's involved with. Now, this isn't our main case, so we're not going to pursue it strongly. But it might hurt to not hurt to see if she's got that meeting
I wasn't
set up.
surprised to find Al-Kali waiting for me in my office. In my head was a list of suspects for killing Mundy, and Al-Kali had gone straight in at number 1.
Mr. Luton,
boy.
I am so pleased to see you.
The feeling's not mutual, Al-Kali. What do you want?
That
All
little
in
bug
good
eye.
time, Mr. Luton.
Why do I get a feeling that Al-Kali isn't your real name? It's not very dwarfish.
My name is of little consequence, Mr. Luton, and the story of how I acquired it will have to wait for another time. Now, if you'll excuse me,
Now, why would you want to carry an axe?
to hack at people, Mr. Luton. An axe is the weapon of choice for a dwarf, you should know that.
Why kill me now? What's the point?
I'm not planning to kill you, Mr. Luton. I merely need the axe as a deterrent should you wish to try something foolish.
I don't try foolish things. Sometimes they just happen.
Then I suggest you don't let them happen now.
Oh, thank
When
goodness you
you
didn't have any
finish
battle bread.
searching me, I know a nice restaurant we can go to.
So, you have been a busy man, Mr. Luton. I think you'd better come with me.
Is there an alternative?
That would depend on how attached you are to your arms and hands, and how much you want them to remain attached to you.
So,
I
kidnapped
didn't
by the
know where
dwarf.
Al-Kali was taking me, but I was now sure he wasn't going to kill me. He could have done that in my office, and it would have been days before anyone found the body. No, he wanted me for something. I just didn't know what. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting to be taken to see a troll. I've seen some unusual things in my life, but a troll and a dwarf working together? That was something else.
They're mortal
Ankh
enemies in
Morpork
Discworld.
wasn't hot at that time of year, but the big troll was sitting back in a wicker chair being fanned. Smart. Out of the cold of the mountains, overheating of their silicon brains was the reason for the trademark stupidity of the trolls. I'd have to watch my step with this one. Al-Kali had a brief whispered conversation with the troll, but I couldn't make out what was said. At one point, I thought I heard Al-Kali mention a coin from Sorta, but the rest was a mystery.
Mr. Luton, so glad you could come and join us, and so punctually, too. Yes, I know you were escorted by Mr. Al-Kali here, but the fact that you arrived on time shows that you didn't put up any show of resistance, which means you're intelligent enough to realize that we are not your enemies. And since we are not enemies, there is always the possibility that we might be friends. You are a quiet man?
No, I like to talk,
Yeah.
but I like to dance, too. And the trick in both is knowing when to lead and when to follow.
Excellent, sir. Excellent. I distrust a quiet man. He generally picks the wrong time to talk and says the wrong things. A talking is something you cannot do judiciously unless you keep in practice. I'll tell you right out. I'm a troll who likes talking to people who like to talk.
What shall we talk about?
What indeed do friends talk about?
Most friendships don't start out with one of the friends being led around by an axe-wielding dwarf. While we're at it, most people know the names of their friends.
Of course, how impolite of me. Mr. Al-Kali, I believe you already know. And my name is Jasper Horst. Perhaps you've heard of me.
I have a bad memory for names. It gets me into a lot of trouble.
You have a bad attitude as well. That also gets you into trouble.
Now, Mr. Al-Kali. It doesn't do to slander a guest, especially one whom you hope to count among your friends.
I really like Jasper Horst. I know I say that about just about every character, but he's really cool. His flattery is pretty menacing, I think. So he's an intelligent troll, and he's allied with the dwarf who we think killed Mundy. Interesting.
So, if we're friends, I guess Al-Kali's warning about staying off the Mundy case was just a friendly warning.
Ah, straight to the point. I do admire a man who avoids skirting the issues. Such a man makes an excellent politician, but is almost impossible to trust. Well, sir, it seems you are now in the possession of something that we would like.
And what might that be?
Come now, sir. There's no need to play coy. We know you were the last person Mundy saw, and we know you have the coin from Sorter. Frankly, sir, we know you have the golden sword, and we wish to make an offer for it.
What if I told you it wasn't for sale?
Don't be tedious.
Look how Luton just rolls
We
with it.
obviously know that you are in the employ of Carlotta. Hence we know that you have a price. Whatever she is offering you, we can safely offer double. And unlike Carlotta, I am a trowel of my word.
What if she's offering me something that you can't match?
You don't strike me as a man who would fall for Carlotta's moves, sir. You strike me as a man with better judgment than that. Are you loyal to Carlotta?
I am loyal to one person and one person alone. Me.
That's wonderful. I do like a man who isn't afraid to tell you that he is looking after himself.
We're all looking after ourselves.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. And I don't trust a man who says he's not.
So, he thinks we've got a golden sword, and he cares about trust, I guess. Let's see what he thinks about trust.
Trust seems very important to you, Horst.
Indeed. Without trust, we are no better than barbarians. It is the capacity for trust that sets the humans, trolls, dwarfs, and such above the lesser animals.
That and our capacity for cruelty.
What a dark outlook you have, sir. Are you a pessimist?
Pessimism is a term used by optimists to attempt to discredit those who see the world
He's
as it
so
really
bitter.
is.
You are a man of the world, sir. I like that about you.
It's just creepy how complimentary he is. It's really menacing. I really like this character. So what golden sword is he talking about? We probably better pretend that we know about it, or else he might not have any use for us and just
Tell
take
me
our
about the
coin.
golden sword, Horst.
Carlotta didn't tell you what it was?
Horst seemed to think I knew things that I didn't, and that could give me the advantage. I decided it was time for a good bluff. She told me, but I took it for granted she was lying.
A not injudicious thing to do.
Well, what's he planning to pay us, at least? I guess we didn't get any
Let's
information
cut to the
there.
chase. How much will you pay me for the sword?
Suffice it to say, I will pay you its value.
That doesn't give me much to go on.
You will appreciate, sir, that a golden sword like that is a difficult artifact to sell. Indeed, you would draw a lot of attention were you to attempt to do so. I will offer you what the sword is worth, and that, I can assure you, is more than Carlotta is offering you.
I could use a figure.
I don't like to commit myself to fixed fees. Those who set exact price tags leave themselves no room to negotiate when the circumstances change. Rest assured that it will exceed $10,000 at the least.
10,000, eh? I'll think about it.
Well, we certainly are known for acting for more money, so I don't think we can count Jasper out quite yet. Although we probably won't trust him, he being allied with Alkali. I wonder if he knows about the counterweight.
Can you tell me anything about the counterweight killings?
I had assumed you would know more than I, sir. I know only what I've heard, that there's a spy from the counterweight continent in Ankh-Morpork, and that he is killing people in a manner that is both striking and extravagant.
So unless Alkali is lying to Horst, this seems like a weird charade to go through if Alkali was in fact the murderer of Mundy and the other counterweight killings. So I think we ought to assume that it's someone, I guess, that we don't know about yet. I wonder if he knows anything about Mundy.
What do you know about the circumstances of Mundy's murder?
A strange question, sir, but you have your reasons, I'm sure. I must say I was impressed. Disguising the murder as a counterweight killing was clever, but knocking yourself out after the murder was a masterstroke. A gamble, certainly, but the greater the risk, the greater the reward.
So Horst thinks we killed Mundy. I mean, I guess everybody does, but it's interesting that Horst would. You know, the Watch does just because they're trying to catch somebody. But I guess Horst has a way to find out what they believe, and suspicions about
What
us.
exactly is your connection with Carlotta?
She didn't mention me to you? I'm not surprised. Carlotta is a model for deception. Never tell the truth when a lie will do. As for her connection with me, she and I are associates.
That doesn't tell me much.
Alas, sir, you are right. But what it tells accurately. And that should make up for the deficit of information conveyed.
Okay, whatever that means. They have some kind of business relationship, I guess. What about Alkali?
Does Alkali work for you?
Mr. Alkali and I have a complicated working relationship. He and I have been associates for some time.
There's that word again. And that does bring up this dialogue option. I don't think it's necessary, but it's neat that you can find it.
So Carlotta's an associate, and Alcali's an associate. You still haven't told me what you mean by associate, though.
Let's just say that the three of us share a common goal.
Interesting. We'll have to find out more later, I guess. Well, does he know Regan?
Do you recognize the dwarf in this iconograph?
I cannot say I have made their acquaintance.
No, he doesn't recognize Regan, or at least he's not letting on that he does.
Well, it's been nice talking to you, Horst, but I have other things to do.
I trust you will keep in touch, sir. I look forward to hearing your decision.
Well, this is extremely interesting.
You're letting him go?
Come now, Mr. Alcali. Mr. Luton is our friend and associate. He is free to come and go as he pleases.
I'll let you know what I decide, Horst.
But of course, goodbye, Mr. Luton. For now.
I was starting to piece together what was going on. Whatever this sword was, it was clear that Mundy brought it into town with him on the Milka. I guess he was the courier. For who, wasn't clear. He must have hidden it in one of the crates on the Milka and then broken into the warehouse to recover it. Only the watchman stopped him before he could retrieve it. None of which told me where the sword was, or even what the sword was. One thing was clear. I needed to talk to Carlotta.
Well, seems like Carlotta's been deceiving us. Not that that's particularly unexpected. I really like how they put Luton in the middle of this by having a Horst be... He's not an oaf, he's a very smart character, but he just assumes something that's wrong, and something very natural. Apparently, the coin that we got is related to the golden sword somehow, and because of that, he assumed that we had the sword. He's trying to play as our
Still
friend,
here.
assuming
Here's as
that
good as anywhere.
we'll work with him out of self-interest. But overall, I just think it's time to talk to Carlotta and see if we can get any more information. We need a lot more information, and we need it quickly.
I want to talk to you about something important.
Really? I can't wait.
Not here. It's too public.
Your place or mine?
Yours is probably safer.
Let's go.
We barely spoke at all on the way over, and there was a certain tension between us. God's help me, I liked it.
Well, we're alone. What did you want to talk to me about?
You've got a lot of smooth moves, Carlotta. You've managed to string me along like a kitten.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about you lying to me, sister. I'm talking about the way you used me to track down Mundy, and how you are planning to cut me out of the action when I found him.
You're paranoid, Luton.
Oh, I know I'm paranoid. But just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean you're not a lying, thieving lowlife. Tell me about the golden sword.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I think you do. And so does Jasper Horst.
You spoke to Horst?
Yes, I spoke to Horst. And he seemed to think that I had possession of the sword. Apparently Mundy had it, only he died before he could deliver it. Horst thinks I killed him and took the sword.
I didn't want you to get involved, Luton. It was too dangerous.
Ah, don't pull the hysterical woman act on me, Carlotta. It won't work.
Man,
All
it
right,
won't.
you got me. I used you. Everybody uses everyone, Luton. It's the way of things. Friendships are just what happens when you've used someone for so long, it becomes habitual.
You're a bitter little lady.
It's a bitter little world. What now?
You tell me everything.
Why?
Because you need me.
I don't need anyone.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? But even you aren't totally independent, Carlotta. You need the Count's money, for one. One word from me and I could get you cut off.
He wouldn't dare. He's too bound by tradition.
Perhaps, but can you really afford to take that chance?
What's the deal, Luton?
Straight cut. I'll help you recover the sword. We split the profit.
You think you can trust me enough for that to work?
No, but this isn't about trust. It's about money. You don't trust me any more than you trust Horst. But I figure you'd work with him if it got you the money.
You're smart, Luton, but you've got one thing wrong.
What's that?
I trust you more than I trust Horst.
It's probably not a big
I'm
compliment.
touched. But I reckon you'd trust a rattlesnake before you'd trust Horst.
You're a good judge of character.
Hang around with scum long enough and you learn to tell the different types of scum apart. Horst is the treacherous kind.
What about me?
You're just a woman, Carlotta, and that's not a compliment.
Why do you hate women so much?
I hate everyone and everything. No one gets special treatment. Now tell me the real story between you and Mundy.
Mundy wasn't my lover. He was my contact. He was supposed to be bringing the artifact in from Sota. But something went wrong on the way. I don't know what it was, but Mundy never made his rendezvous. I went with Reagan to the wharf to meet him, but he wasn't there.
Do you know where Reagan is now?
No, he dropped me at the Temple of Small Gods, and that's the last I saw of him.
Did he know what was going on?
Reagan? Ha! No, I never told him anything. Everything I told him would have gone straight to the Count.
Anything else you haven't told me?
I'm sure there's plenty of things I haven't told you. The girl's got to have some secrets.
You're trouble, Carlotta.
Admit it, Luton. You like trouble.
What if I do?
I know what's going on inside of you, Luton. You're just like any other man, only a little more so.
When she kissed me, fire burned in my veins and
Those
I felt
models.
alive. Have you ever kissed someone who you didn't know whether to love or to hate? Well, other than your parents. Not that I'm prying into your private life, just trying to get my point across. Something changed in me at that point, and I knew I'd never be the same again.
I guess we have a deal then.
With my brains and your looks, we could go places.
What about with my brains and your looks?
We could still go places. They just wouldn't be as nice.
Nice little dig there. You know, for all his protestations, Luton really does have a blind spot when it comes to women, I think. And he's overcompensating for the fact that I guess he used to care and got hurt by
So,
just
now
being
we're
really
working together.
negative.
Is there anything you'd like to tell me?
What like?
Anything you've kept back from me? Any lies you'd like to confess to and secrets you're still hiding?
A girl's got to have some secrets, Luton.
I mean, he was able to work out Horst's character pretty quickly, and Sapphire's too. I guess I'm not counting her in the human females category. But when it comes to Carlotta and Ilsa, he's just blindly angry.
You
but
must
not
have
in
known
this,
something about the Milka's cargo.
Yes, I had a crate amongst the cargo. It wasn't carrying anything important. It was just for Mundy to hide the sword in if it became necessary.
But the sword wasn't in the crate.
No, the last I saw of the crate, Reagan had it. I don't know where it is now.
Do you have anything that might help me find it?
I have a shipping order. You can have it if it's useful to you.
It could be. Any lead is a good one at the moment.
Not in a way that's really good at discerning things. At least he's very interested in working with Carlotta. She
Can
probably
you tell me
won't.
anything more about this golden sword?
I've told you all I know.
Yeah, doesn't know anything more about that. What else should we ask Carlotta about? I guess, well, we should at least ask about Jasper Horst. See if she can tell us anything about her past with Horst. Let's see if I can find that thing here. So she really went pretty far with those lies. She was willing to keep lying even after she knew that we knew about the golden sword, at which point I think it was safe to assume the jig was
Tell
up.
me about Horst.
What's to tell? He's a treasure hunter, as ruthless as they come. He'd sell his own mother to get what he wanted. Rumor has it that he pushed his father off the mountain when he was just a pebble.
Have you had any dealings with him in the past?
Occasionally. Horst is the kind of troll you try not to work with unless you really have to.
I thought trolls kind of just came out of the stone. I didn't know they had mothers and fathers. If somebody knows about that branch of
I'll see you
Discworld, I
around,
wouldn't mind hearing it.
Carlotta.
I hope so.
So, our relationship with Carlotta has certainly changed. Now we're more or less partners with her, although to what extent we can trust her.
Carlotta had given me the shipping order for the crate she had on the Milka.
I'm not sure. However, we do now have our first solid lead on Regan in kind of a long time. We know that he was down at the Milka, the docks, with Carlotta, so maybe we can get some information about him. talking to the guy that we managed to talk to before. She also claimed she didn't tell Regan anything, but I think it's possible that she did. We shouldn't assume that we know all about his motivations.
Still here?
Not for much longer, I hope.
Oh, hello, Mr. Scoplet. Well, let's see. We at least want to ask him about the Milka's cargo, whatever that is.
What can you tell me about the cargo you just brought in?
It was heavy, and it was all packed into...
That's not very helpful. It's what was in the crates I'm interested.
If they wanted us to know what was in the crates, they would.
But you could be shipping anything. Aren't you just a little curious?
A little being curious makes for a lot of being dead.
Don't you ever peek?
Even if I did, I wouldn't tell anyone about it.
So, not much information out of him that way. Honestly, we should just see if he knows who Regan is. Show him the iconograph.
Does this mean anything to you?
It's a shipping order.
I'd work that out, thanks.
There you go. Didn't even need my help.
I like how sarcastic everybody is.
I showed Regan's picture to the first mate, and he recognized it.
Yes, I think that was the dwarf who pulled up in a carriage shortly after we docked. I think he collected some of the cargo, too.
Do you remember which way he went?
He drove away upwards at high speed. I wouldn't be surprised if he caused an accident somewhere down the line.
Kind of drops a little clue for us there. Sorry for the audio glitching there. That I had to stop and start re-recording. You guys didn't miss anything important.
That's possible.
So, let's continue on. If Regan did cause an accident, and again, this is just by going by little clues they give you, I think that there ought to be some record of it at Pseudopolis Yard.
There was something about the way the other members of the Watch looked at me that let me know that no matter how innocent I was still stained with suspicion. Still, I'll take the stains of suspicion over the tarnish of guilt. Suspicion was easier to wash out. Sometimes I think I'd just give up and crawl inside a whiskey bottle. Except that you can only do that if you are less than 1 inch high. Doesn't look like I'm too welcome around here. Of course, I haven't been welcome here since I got kicked off the force, but at least then they just thought I was corrupt. Now they think I'm a murderer. Nah, Luton, you've got it all wrong. They don't think you're a murderer. They think... that my personal hygiene is appalling? No. That I have the Clatchian plague? No. Face it, they think I'm a murderer. You know, give me a minute, I'll think of something. Nobby, you've never thought of something printable in your entire life. Why should you start now?
Oh, Luton. Well, let's find out about that car crash, or carriage crash.
Did anyone report a speeding carriage 3 days ago? Funny you should ask that. Sergeant Colon was almost run down by a carriage 3 days ago. He's been going on about it ever since. Says we ought to have speed limits for carriages. How would you tell what speed a carriage was going? Well, a watchman's instincts are never wrong. You could always go for a more preventative approach. Like what? Well, you could ban carriages altogether. Yeah, that'd work. Hey, you could go one step further. You could ban people from Ankh-Morpork, and then there'd be no crime at all. Well, there'd still be the trolls and the dwarfs, and the gargoyles, and the gnomes, and the undead and the golems. Of course, the golems don't make much crime, and the gargoyles' only crime is avicide. And it's not like we're short of pigeons. But the trolls and the dwarfs, well, I mean, they make as much crime as any of the humans, maybe even more. It's no fun when it's this easy. Like shooting fish at a barrel. Eh? Never mind. About this carriage the other night. Where did Colon see it? I think he said it was headed for the Magdalen Bridge. It wasn't much of a lead, but at least it was something. Usually you could only get a lead out of Nobby with a scalpel.
So, we might have the location where Regan's carriage went off the rails. Let's see if there's anything else they've dug up about the counterweight killings. Usually we can pump Nobby. Actually, he might know about Jasper,
Have you heard of a
too.
troll called Horst, Nobby? Oh yeah, he's a treasure hunter, he is. How come you've heard of him? Well, Vimes always asks us to keep an eye on him when he's in town. Is he a lawbreaker, then? Well, he's careful never to get caught doing anything against the law. Bit like you,
So,
then.
yes.
Yeah, a bit like... No. Now, you hang on a minute. I am completely law-abiding. Yes. You're as innocent as the next man in Ankh-Morpork. Exactly. Well, if I can pick the next man anyway.
Right. Anything about the counterweight killings, then? Let's see.
Tell me more about these counterweight killings. I'm not really sure I should, Luton. Sorry. Come on, Nobby. You can trust me. Well, no. Look, Luton, I can't tell you. Why not? Shouldn't I know? It's not to be discussed with anyone who's not part of the case. Ah, I see. Well, that makes sense. Obviously, you wouldn't want people not involved with the case learning about it. Exactly. And I'm the prime suspect in that case, right? Well, you're the prime suspect in the Mundy case. But the prime suspect in the counterweight killings is that foreign spy who's been killing all the prominent people. Like that bloke up at Unseen University and that fellow in the Patrician's Palace. Right. Well, I won't ask any more questions then, seeing as how I shouldn't. Thank you, Luton. I appreciate it.
Well, that's nothing we didn't really know already. I mean, we knew that they'd been killing people. I wonder if we ask about...
What if I told you that I was working on a case that could make us both rich? What if I told you I had a lead on a golden sword of untold value? What would you say to me? I'd say you're having me on. Come on, Luton. What do you take me for? Still, untold value, eh? Is that a lot? I mean, my vest has got untold value, too. Interested? Nah, it's gotta be a wind-up. Golden swords. You must think I was born yesterday. Oh, you were born, were you? I always thought you were hatched out by the sun, Nobby.
I always like it when he talks to Nobby. I guess that's all for now.
Well, I'm sure I'll be back. Yeah, right, Luton.
Although in what capacity remains to be seen, I guess. So we have a potential. We don't really know that this is Reagan's carriage yet. On the bridge over here, the Maudlin Bridge. But hold on. If we look down at the docks, we can see that, while we used to be able to see the ship there, the Milka, it appears to have sailed off. And sure enough, if we look down, it's not there anymore. It's a neat little extra they put in. That the building icons
when the
actually
Milka
changed
left,
from something
someone
different.
must have left one of the mooring lines behind. That was careless. Some people will steal anything.
I guess this is in the
If I pride myself on anything, it's that I don't steal without a good reason. Well, I don't steal rope without a good reason.
It's a pretty weak sauce thing to pride yourself on, but we do have a good reason to steal it. We've got a grappling iron, but no rope. So let's combine the two.
Some people will steal anything. And that includes me, it seems.
Now we have a complete grappling hook again. Whether that will be useful remains to be seen, I suppose, but it's always good to have. So, the Maudlin Bridge. And it looks like something happened here. We can
The
see...
Maudlin Bridge was one of 10 bridges that linked the city of Ankh to the city of Morpork. It was an unremarkable structure, most famous for the number of suicides it attracted. The trouble with trying to drown yourself in the Ankh is that you're more likely to break a leg falling onto the thick crust of the river than actually come near any water. Still, if you were heavy enough, you could eventually sink into the depths. I can think of nicer ways to go, though, and much quicker ones, too.
It doesn't sound very pleasant for sure. So let's see if we can get any clues here. Some skid marks.
Something had clearly lost control on the bridge. Something with wheels. Beyond that, it was difficult to say.
I mean, seeing as this is an adventure game, I think we can pretty much tell what happened.
The railings had been damaged. There was no telling when they'd become damaged, though. It wasn't as if I came this way every day. I doubt many people did.
But, I mean, you know, we're pretty aware of what's going on. Now, that torn fabric there can be a little pixel hunty, and Luton's got kind of a weird path he has to take to go get it. I don't know why they do that, but...
Some fabric had caught on the railings of the bridge.
I will say, in defense of the game, that it is absolutely not necessary to find this fabric. It can be a nice little boon for you if you find it. Because, now that we've got an actual clue from the scene of the crime,
I see
and we know
Sir
that...
has returned.
Sir has.
And we know
Who
that the
would say
Count
like to
knows
see
about
it?
Regan and about his carriage. We can go and
Is the
compare
Count
fabric
receiving
samples,
guests?
basically, see if the
No,
Count recognizes the
but
fabric.
he will see you.
I think this is kind
I've
of a
got
long
few more
shot,
questions
but
for you, Count.
Yes, good questions.
you know, this
Go
is sort of
on.
adventure game logic, I guess. Although it makes kind of sense. Maybe I don't know, it's a particular kind of fabric or something. And if you look at the fabric,
I'd found some fabric caught on the railings of the Magdalen Bridge. It was distinctive enough that I hoped someone would recognize it.
they give you a little clue
Do you
about it, and I
recognize this
appreciate
fabric?
Yes, it's familiar. Yes, I remember. It's from the carriage. I liked the carriage. Do you know where it is?
From Regan's carriage?
Yes, from the canopy.
That's what I thought.
Well, there we have it. Now we know for sure.
I'll be
or
back
at least
later.
I look
Almost for
forward
sure.
to it.
That whatever fell off that bridge was in fact Regan's carriage. So he had an accident careening around at high speeds, which is part of why this is such a complicated case. He didn't show up where he needed to be. And that apparently just put everybody in arrears. If anybody recognizes any of those other statues or their callbacks or something to Discworld, I'd like to hear about it. I don't recognize them.
Well,
Anyway,
back.
if there's a carriage out there, it stands to reason that we need to get it dredged up, and I can't think of anybody more able to do it than Malachite, but it's right about at this point that I realized you actually have to try to pull the thing up yourself before you can get Malachite to do it. So I apologize for this little delay here, but we're going to have to go back and dredge out the river. Fortunately, with our newly assembled grappling iron, that's not too hard. There, he tosses it right down there.
There was something
and a
down
mighty
there.
toss.
I was sure of it. But I wasn't strong enough to pull it up.
Good thing he can get his hook disentangled, I'll say that much. But if we're not strong enough, then a troll certainly is strong enough. So let's get Malachite to do it. You know, since we're still working on
Well,
the Therma case,
I'm
I think he does kind of owe us. Although, let's see if we have to do anything fancy to get him to pull it up.
Listen carefully, Malachite. I've been patient with you, and you owe me a favor. I need you to use the grapple to pull something out of the River Ankh. I don't know for sure what it is, but it's big. Too big for me to lift. But you could do it, and I figure you owe me one.
Find Therma!
All right, you big
stop.
dumb troll. I'll carry on looking for Therma if you help me get this thing out of the river. Do we have a deal?
I pull thing. You find Therma.
Yes. You scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. Or something. Whatever you want
He's kind of a
scratched,
one-note
within
troll.
reason.
Don't want scratching.
Yeah, he's not
Find
big on metaphor.
Therma.
Okay. You pull thing, I find Therma. Got it?
Need grapple.
That may be the first intelligent thing you've said to me.
Now, you actually need the grapple to get the something in the river thing in your notebook, so I'm not really sure why this check is
Ready
here.
now?
But, who knows?
You lead.
With pleasure.
So let's see if Malachite's up to the task.
I hadn't been able to move whatever it was in the river. Malachite pulled it up onto the bridge like it was made of paper.
Say what you will about him, it's useful knowing a big bruiser
I
like
wasn't
this.
surprised to learn it was Regan's carriage, but it still wasn't clear how it ended up going off the bridge.
Let's take a look around inside, see if we can find it. Hey! There's an interesting little box. See what's in it. Oh, looks like Malachite's interested
Amidst the
in it.
wreckage, I found a small ornamental box. But before I could examine it in detail, Malachite took an interest. I didn't want to give it to him, but he looked like he'd rupture a fault line if I didn't. He kept insisting that the box proved that Therma was alive, or at least that's my best interpretation of what he was trying to say. With his usual annoying habit, Malachite just walked off, taking the box with him. That left me to get back to my usual habit of not really knowing what was going on.
I wonder if that whole exchange was too hard to model or something. Well, anyway, we lost whatever that box is, because
The
Malachite's sure not going to give
carcass
it up.
of Regan's carriage lay on the bridge like a beached whale. I searched it, but I'd already found everything of interest.
Well, let's see
the
if,
remains of a crate was all that was left.
See if we can find out what's going on with Regan, anyway.
I searched Regan's body, but all I found was a pair of tiny bite marks on his ankle. Either he'd been bitten by a snake, or a very small vampire.
This is actually a little tricky to notice. It took
There
me a
was
while
no
my
doubt
first
that
time.
it was Regan, and there was no doubt that he was dead. The poor sap must have suffocated in the unk.
They give you that close-up there, and if you noticed, he had a full head of hair, but on his iconograph, he's totally bald.
I couldn't help but notice that Regan was
And they give you a nice
bald.
little clue if you click on it, and I do appreciate that. However, using that knowledge, we simply compare the body to the photo.
One thing had been bugging me since I'd found Regan's body. In the iconograph that the Count had given me, Regan was bald. Here, in the flesh, Regan had a full head of hair. I had to pull hard on his toupee to get it off. Regan must have glued it on to stop it from flying off as he drove the carriage. Underneath the toupee was a small key. I guess it must have been important, or he wouldn't have glued it to his head.
Interesting. Well, I can only think of one possibility right now. We know that Regan has a lockbox at the Saturnalia Casino. So, next time we can either go check out the Saturnalia Casino to try to find out what the key Regan stored goes to, or we can continue to look at Carlotta's alibi and go to the Temple of Small Gods. Either way, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.